Hello, Chanel. Dun, dun, dun. I feel like getting the drum roll out. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Hayley and I have just spent like the last half an hour chatting, and then she was like, we should probably get started with this podcast. Thank you for having me.
I think that you and I could probably just talk for ages about all the
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I reckon.
Well, I'm really glad that you said yes to coming on my podcast. And I want to just preface this with the fact that I've obviously read out your bio and I do that saying I do that after so I can summarize what the conversation is about and really put you up in lights. But we are both in the same industry.
Hmm.
And I want to highlight the fact that, there's so many people that do what you do. Like, there's lots of coffee shops, there's lots of builders, there's lots of this, but there is room to coexist and collaborate with those people that do what you do. And two heads are better than one. And this is us, like walking that talk. Because I do often talk about that. And it's like definitely community over competition. And like I value that and I love what you do and what your agency does and everything. And so I think it's important to come together as a community. And I don't think that, there's no need to feel threatened by other people in your industry that do what you do. A rising tide lifts all boats, I think. And
Yes.
you wouldn't have come on here if you didn't think that as well.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Community over competition all the way. There's so much that we can learn from each other, and there's so many ways that we can help each other out. And I've got so much from having those, strategic partnerships and conversations with people, even though we're in the same industry. So if you're listening to this and you're afraid of what you deem to be competition, take your competition out for a coffee. You might find that there's an epic collaboration that you can do together that you can both benefit from. And there's always something unique, right? So I've got a client who started like a virtual rack service where you can book a rack and sell your baby's clothes. And she messages me and she's like, oh, this place has just popped up and this place has popped up. And I'm like, girl, there's going to be like a million businesses who are doing the same thing that you're doing, but each of you will have something that's very unique, whether it's you or your process or your system or your customer service or where you're located, or there's so many different things that make your business unique. So yes, community over competition, but then also know that your business, even though you might do something similar to someone else, there's always something that's unique to you.
Yeah, I love that. So how about you introduce yourself? I know,
Yeah.
let's just dive right in. But can you tell our listeners who you are and what you do in your own
Yes. So
words?
my
Yes.
name is Chanelle Le Roux. I'm a digital marketing specialist and I am also a marketing coach. I own a content marketing agency called Ninky. So we're not a full service agency that does everything. We just specialize in content marketing. I do also have the Ninky Academy, which is the educational side of my business. So if you're looking for on-demand courses or you're looking to DIY your social media, you can go onto the Ninky Academy and there's some educational stuff. That's the stuff I'm really passionate about, is the educational piece. I'm a part-time performer, so I'm very comfortable being, on stage and sharing, things like that with people. But then, yes, much like you, I'm also a marketing coach. So for businesses who can't afford our management services, I can just teach you how to do it yourself, and I don't keep anything to myself. I can show you how to do it. So that's me. I've been in the marketing industry since 2009, and over my career I've worked in lots of different areas of marketing. So I've worked in programmatic advertising and coaching and sales and strategy, but content marketing was the one area of marketing that I enjoyed the most, because it really gave me the opportunity to be quite creative and use both strategy and creativity. I've worked with some really big brands like Victoria's Secret and BBC and ESPN, not through my business, not through Ninky, but through agencies that I've worked for in the past. But now I generally work with small to medium-sized businesses, which I really enjoy. And then every now and then I work with a big business. But that's essentially my journey and where I'm at right now and what I do right now.
I love it. So it's a good segue because we kind of spoke offline, but what what does like-minded people coming together and, kind of create? And we talked about, how businesses, well, we think and you think will fail without community. So can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit more? Like,
Hmm.
what's your take on community, and how do you see like the collaboration space, uplifting businesses?
Yeah. So I think community has different meanings for different people. So you have like a physical community. If you've got a coffee shop, then your community will probably be people within like a 2 kilometer radius that are very loyal to your business because that's the physical community. There's an online community. If you look at something like a Facebook group, for example, that is a virtual community that can exist across multiple countries and it's all online. But then there's your brand community, which is the community that you build around your brand and your service and your products. And there's a couple of reasons why a brand community is very important. Which I'll circle back to, but the other community is sort of your business community, right? So I am an SA woman, which I believe you are as well. I'm part of the She Creates community. I've got my own community from G&T Nights, which is something that myself and another agency owner do. So there's the community that also uplifts your business. So there's really, lots of different types of communities that serve different purposes. But if you're a business owner that's listening to this, the community that I would probably suggest exploring a bit is your brand community. So back in the day, relationships between the consumer and the brand were very transactional. People were happy to just buy a product or service and walk away. And it was very, very, very transactional. But now consumers are looking for something so much more than a transaction. They're looking for an ongoing relationship, and they are willing to stay very loyal to brands who take care of them, and brands who have a community that they can bring people into. People really want a sense of belonging, and your brand needs to create a community that gives people that sense of belonging. So there's lots of different examples I can give, but Go-To Skin does a really good job of it. They've got their Go-To Gang, which is their sort of loyalty program of people who are advocates or evangelists for their brand, and they do a really good job at keeping their existing customers engaged with the brand to keep them loyal. And it becomes a bit like Country Road or something like that, where it's a real status symbol to wear that particular brand. So your brand and your business needs to exist for something more than just profit. It needs to stand for a higher purpose, and one of those higher purposes is a community. I'll give one more example. Who Gives a Crap is a really good example. They sell toilet paper and they give a percentage of their profits to build toilets in third world countries. And so they've got this community around their brand of people who really value philanthropy and helping people that are less fortunate than us. And even though, to be perfectly honest, the toilet paper is not great, I buy from them.
Me too.
It's crap, I have to say, but I buy it because sure, it's convenient that it gets dropped off at my doorstep once a month. But I know that a portion of the funds are going to people in third world countries, and they do a really good job at keeping me engaged with their brand, with social media, email marketing, all of that kind of thing. So to sum up, there's lots of different types of communities, but your brand community is really important if you want to keep customers loyal to your brand. We're so busy thinking about how to get customers in that we actually forget about how to keep them once we've got them.
100%. And I think it's easier. The customer lifetime value of one customer is so large compared to what it takes to drive new audiences in. And so if you can, like you're saying, build that loyalty with some kind of loyalty, not a program, just some kind of way, community-ish way to keep them in your world, it's a lot easier acquisition than looking for new ones. And so you gave a really good example about how you do that as I'm not, a small to medium business, and that's through your G&T nights. And that's a really good example because I can hear like listeners saying, yeah, but it's all fine for Go-To and Who Gives a Crap because they're large businesses, but I'm a small business. Like, how could I do that? How can I, what can I do to add my piece of community? Like, what are some examples? And so like, for me, obviously I have my membership, Superhero Marketing. And, one way like that I try and create a sense of community is, I send out welcome pack We've got like different things on at certain times of the year. If you are local to come in, and if you're not, around Christmas, like I send something. And so there's different ways to build in community. What are like, I know you do G&T nights. What are some other like suggestions for like business owners that might be like a service-based business that kind of maybe work from home like I do, you know, my office is at home. Like, I don't know, what are some, I'm trying to think as well. I know from
Yeah.
me.
Well, I mean, you made a really good point, and there's sorts of it kind of melts into one, because we're talking a bit about community, but then we're also talking about brand loyalty and
Yes.
how to keep your community engaged with your brand. And you're
Mm,
100% right. You don't have to be a big business or have a big budget to keep your customers loyal. I had a podcast interview with somebody named Louisa Ford not so long ago. It was fantastic. Give it a listen. And some of the things we spoke about was things like you were saying at Christmas time, send your clients a bottle of wine, or once every couple of months offer them an additional service as added value, as a nice little surprise. One of the things that is a real unique selling point for my agency that I know our clients get a lot of value from is my network. I spend a lot of time and a lot of money networking and going to networking events, and whenever a client comes to work with us, I've got so many people that I can connect them with for brand collaborations and all that sort of thing, that they are very loyal to me, because they're like, Chanelle knows people. She knows a lot of
yes.
people, and it's really benefited our business. So when you think about keeping people loyal to your brand, don't think that it needs to be a hard thing or a time consuming or a expensive thing. It's lots of little things that go a really, really long way. So that's that side of things. But then when it comes to community, there's your virtual community, right? So you could set up a LinkedIn group, you could set up a Facebook group, and you can offer value as a service-based business or even a product-based business to the world. The only downside to those virtual communities is that you have to drive, they're hard to maintain. So you have to be posting in those groups all the time, and you have to be pushing people into those groups like there's no tomorrow. So those groups, that they can work. So that's your virtual community, but it's quite difficult to get up and running. I honestly think that the best way you can build a community is through in-person networking. I've only realized this year, after 7 years, how powerful the network that I've built is. I've really underestimated the power of it. And we've all heard the quote, your network is your net worth.
Oh, I feel exactly the same. It's
Yeah,
unreal.
it really is. So if you are a small business and you work from home and you're service-based or product-based, sure, we get all bogged down in this online marketing shit, the SEM and the SEO and the social media and the YouTube and TikTok and on and on and on. But sometimes it's just, get out of your gym jams and go and find a networking event, or pay a little bit of money to go to a premium conference if you're looking for people who can afford your services. And instead of building your own community, insert yourself in somebody else's as a means to drive leads, because obviously that's the other thing is, are you wanting to join a community to build your business, or are you wanting to create your own community to bring people into? Because it's a push and pull thing. It depends on the business and what they're trying to achieve.
I love the communities that I'm part of. And honestly, it is like no one can take those connections away from you once you've built them. And I like hear other people saying now, but I'm really nervous to go into groups, and I don't really do well when I don't know anyone. Well, the place to start that I could think of is start to go live on your social media, start to show up on your social media, because you become confident by showing up. And then when you enter rooms where you don't know anyone, like for me, I love the thought of walking into a room where I know nobody.
Me
It's
too.
like, I'm just
Me
like,
too.
this is my vibe.
I'm like, you are the only person in the whole entire world that is like that, aside from
Oh,
me. So this is like amazing, because
I love it.
I was gonna say arousing. That wasn't the right word. Exhilarating. Exhilarating.
Exhilarating. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yes.
how I feel when I walk into a room where I don't know anyone. I'm just like lit. I don't know why. Is it some sort of psycho kind of behavior, or is it
No,
just
I've wondered that about myself as well. I'm like, am I a sociopath? But no, you're a social butterfly. You get your energy from other people, and you're probably quite generous. You like to give your energy and time to people because it
yeah.
fills your cup.
Yes.
So giving to people, actually, it's not giving and then feeling empty. It does the opposite. It's like you give, but that fills your cup.
Yeah, and I'm super nosy too. Like I just want to know everything about everyone. And I'm the one that will ask you a billion questions about yourself. But like I don't like to talk about me, but I just want to know everything about everyone. And like, do you know what I love to follow? I know this we're totally going off track, but I love to follow on social media people that go around asking people what they do. And they just
Yes.
like stop them and they're like, what do you do for a living? You're driving like a Rolls Royce or whatever. What do you do? And they're
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, tell me. I'm so
Tell me, I want
intrigued.
to
How
know.
did you start your business? And or how do you? And I'm like, what if I did that? If I did that, I don't know, like someone would say, oh, I inherited it or something. I'd be like, damn it. I'm just so nosy. I want to know. Give me the grit. Give me the story. I love the
But
story.
that's so what you've just said there is what so many people fail to do. The key to be able to have a conversation is to ask questions. And
Yes.
I have admittedly some friends who I adore, but they never ask me any fucking questions. And it drives me nuts because you just sit there and you're asking all the questions and you're not getting anything back. People love to share things about themselves. They do. That's like there was a study that said that people love to share things if they're asked. So if you're listening to this and you hate networking because like you just hate it, become prepared with a couple of questions you can ask people, because so I think keep doing what you're doing, Hayley, because like we need more people like you who can go out and just ask people questions, because it's a real skill actually.
I'm intrigued. Anyway, next question I have for you, because you
Yes.
are in the marketing bizzo and you're so close to everything, what are
Did
your
you say
biggest
bizzo?
bizzo,
That's
business,
so Australian. I love it. I love it.
biznitch? No, bizzo. That's not something that you would say.
I don't say it, but I'm not Australian, but I like
No.
it and I'm going to
Yeah.
start saying it.
Yeah. Bizzo. Interesting.
So yes,
What?
I'm in the marketing bizzo.
You're in the marketing bizzo, you're deep in it. And so same as me, right? So you see a lot, but what would be your biggest fears about marketing, you personally?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely the AI thing, which you and I have obviously spoken about heaps.
Mm.
AI is definitely a concern, not just for the marketing industry, but for a lot of different industries. And for anybody who is not living under a rock, you will know why. The reason why is because it's incredibly powerful. Sure, it's not perfect. And there's a lot of examples of how AI is not producing perfect stuff and how humans can still do better than AI, but it's only getting better. And I think I'm most scared about AI because it's already impacted my business quite significantly. I had a copywriter who was also my best friend, and I had to make her redundant because she wanted to be a copywriter. She only wanted to do copywriting. She is not a marketer and she didn't want to do anything else but copywriting. And we didn't have enough just copywriting work.
Mm.
And when ChatGPT came out, we noticed a huge decline in copywriting inquiries. It's lifting up now because people have realized that ChatGPT is a lot more limited than what people think. And my husband's a copywriter and he's the busiest he's ever been. So I think people have, they've smelt the coffee and woken up and realized that it can't do everything. But that was a big hit to my business. I had to get rid of my first employee, my best friend, and it was rough. It was really, really rough. So my biggest fear for marketing is definitely it's definitely AI. I think the other thing is that there's no regulation around marketing, and that worries me because there's a lot of inexperienced people, students, etc. And I'm not having a go at students. I love working with students, but who set up an agency and they've got no experience and they burn all of these businesses and then they give agencies a really bad name. So I would hope to see a body one day that can regulate anybody who calls themselves a marketing professional or a marketing agency to protect us as marketers. I'd probably just say those two things, just AI
Yeah.
and then like the lack of regulations.
Yeah, the second one I definitely agree with as well, simply because I've had a few incidences, especially over this year alone, where people have come to me and they've said they have employed X business website with faceless. It's a faceless website, like let's just say faceless SEO website, claiming they can do this, and this. There's no one behind the brand, and there's no like trustworthiness kind of factor, but they've gone with them because they've had a really strong web presence. So they're obviously invested a lot in their own SEO to deliver zero, to like make false promises. So obviously AI has written the web copy, and then, they've sold it somehow, promised the world over a Zoom call, and then not being able to deliver, and not, like committed to what they said that they would, and being paid for it. And it's like, so anyone can pretend to be this person. And then, like you said, yeah, I know of a few people that's happened to. And you don't know what you don't know. And if you're not in the industry, of course, you're going to think that what people are writing on their website they can do, and that it's legit. But I'm telling you, it's not. Like, if there's no one behind the brand, I would think twice about working with a company like that.
And also, if it's $9 a month, guys,
Yes.
come on. Like, do you really think you're going to get something good from something that costs $9 a month? So like, yeah, it's bad on the agency or the business that is selling those services, but then it also has to be on the business owner for not doing their due diligence. And we've all fallen into that trap. So don't beat yourself up about it. We've all spent money on shit that didn't go down well, but treat it like you're getting your car. You would never just buy a car without chatting to your mates and being like, what do you think about this car? Do you like this car? Have you driven this car? Can you recommend any other cars? Like, talk, ask. And I know the last time we chatted about this, we both said, drop us a line on Instagram. Like, if you're thinking of working with an agency, even if it's not mine, I'd rather say to you, maybe don't go with that one than have you go. And then, I get a bad name because somebody else did a shit job.
100%. I think that's a lovely idea. And then at least you know that you're doing good in this world for small businesses. So I do know, and I use this in my own communications, is that small business owners make up the backbone of our Australian economy. And so, like, if you and I can do good in that space, then we've done our bit for future-proofing, like, the economy that we live in, and making it a better place. And so I do think that is a part of it. When you break it down on what you could do better, well, it's just like, ask more questions.
Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
So just like coming towards the end of the year, and it's October at the moment, businesses, some ramp up, some get slower, and some get scared, right? Of, oh no, is my business coming to an end? Is it a slower period? What, I'm freaking out, like clients aren't coming in, and da da da. What would you recommend that people do when that starts to happen? And working on their business is definitely a huge step forward. But from, like, you are an expert in this field, like, what can business owners do to help themselves without like freaking out and closing their doors?
Yeah, so I think if you're listening to this and you're a business owner, you'll probably know by now that business ebbs and flows. And depending on what you do, you may find that there's particular times of year that are always busier and particular times of year that are always quiet. For me, I'm always really busy at the end of the year for some reason, but throughout the year, my business 100% ebbs and flows. But the goal is not to, during the quiet periods, go, oh shit, it's quiet, what am I going to do? Instead, it's best to think about what you can be doing consistently throughout the year, so that if you do find yourself in a quiet period, you've got something running in the background all the time that could potentially be driving you leads during that downtime, right? So that's the mistake that a lot of businesses make, is they don't do a hell of a lot, or they do the bare minimum, and then when it gets quiet, they go, oh shit, what are we going to do? And then they start getting busy. So I think the first thing would be to look at your marketing strategy and look at what you're doing consistently throughout the year. If you've got the budget for it and leads are really low, I would always say invest in paid ads. I mean, obviously this is very broad advice. It would always depend on your particular situation, but supplementing your organic content with paid ads is always going to lift leads and always going to lift sales. But if you don't have the budget to invest in paid ads, old school marketing, baby. Pick up the phone, hire a business development manager, write some cold emails, get on LinkedIn, message some people. Like, I think we've forgotten about the power of that pick up the phone thing. And if you're listening to this and you feel like you want a business development manager, but you don't want to hire somebody, I work with a lady named Tanya from Potato Consulting. And she's my business development manager. She picks up the phone and books appointments for me. So don't be afraid to, like, the answer may not be online. It may be offline. It could even be an ad in the paper. Like, there's still some merit in offline advertising. It could be a letterbox drop. It could be a poster. So if you find that things are getting a little bit quiet, I wouldn't say, don't panic, but rather take a beat and go, okay, with the budget and the time and the team that I have, what could I do? And the answer to that is not always easy. And that's when you consult somebody like us who are marketing professionals who can say, well, this is where I recommend you invest that time and money. But you know, it's a big question because there's a lot of shit you can do, right? You can do stuff online, you could do paid, you could do unpaid, you could do offline. But I would say if it's really quiet and you've got the money, invest in paid ads. If you don't have the money, then go out and just do old school sales stuff, pick up the phone, LinkedIn, etc.
I remember that's what I did when I first started my business. I was so scared. It was about 7 years ago, but I was so scared. I just ended up, going Bear Grylls styles, guerrilla marketing. I talked to anyone and everyone about my business, and that's how it took off.
Yeah, 100%. But hopefully, and somebody said this to me a few years ago, Corey Wolf, who's a lovely, lovely guy. I don't know if you know him, but he said, you want to put yourself in a position where you're running your marketing in such a way that when things are getting quiet, you don't worry because you've got these things working in the background that will bring you those leads. And then also leverage your network. So all the people that you've collected business cards from, or all the communities that you're in, reach out to them and say, hey, and be honest and vulnerable. Like, say, hey, things are a bit quiet. How things for you? If there's anything I can help with, let me know. Like,
yeah, I love that. I do know, and I can't remember where I read this, but they say that the 6 weeks, what you did 6 weeks ago inside your business is the rewards that you'll be reaping present time.
Absolutely.
So
you've got to keep sowing those seeds, and it's
Yeah.
exhausting, but if you create systems and processes where you build it into your daily operation of planting those seeds. I presented a proposal to a company a year ago and they said, thank you so much, but we're going to give it a go in-house. And they've come back to me a year later saying, hey, we're really struggling. Can you pick this up for us? So
you obviously left a great impression, and that
right.
is, you never know how it comes back. And yeah, that happens to me as well. It's so lovely. You can't teach that though. You can't tell someone that. So I'm a marketing coach as well, and I have one-on-one coaching clients. And I say, the amount of times I say that it's about doing all the things and things come out of left field. And you never would have known that 12 months ago when you wrote that proposal, that client would now come back and need your help. But you leave with your head held high and you just keep doing what you're doing and keep showing up. And now, boom.
Yeah, 100%. And you can't, and unfortunately, when things are quiet, and like some people just withdraw, they just panic and freak out. But that's when you have to just keep planting those seeds, and you can plant those seeds in many ways, which we've spoken about today. But you're 100% right. It doesn't pay off straight away, but eventually it will.
Yeah. So let's just, I want to chat about content marketing because that's obviously your jam. What does that mean for the layman person listening? What is content marketing?
So the best way I like to describe content marketing is through a quote that I invented, which is that ads help you be seen, content helps you be chosen. So you can run paid ads. Let's say you see a paid ad.
Writing that down. Quote by Chanelle Le Roux.
It's a good one because if you saw an ad for a pair of Nike or Nike shoes and those shoes were $400, you wouldn't go, oh, those are nice shoes, and then buy the $400 shoes. That is not happening, right? You're not buying a $400 pair of shoes unless you do the research to vet that these are the right shoes for you. So after you've seen the ad, you go on to YouTube and you look at some unboxing videos, you go onto their Instagram and you see that there's a famous person who wears these shoes, and you have a look at that video, and then you look at the reviews of the shoe through a blog from somebody who specializes in Nike shoes or whatever it is. All of those things, the video, the Instagram, the blog, all of those things are content. And that's what informs my decision. It's not the ad. I don't see an ad and then decide to buy something unless it's something, of a low value like hand soap. It's all of those pieces of content that help me make that decision. And if your business is pumping all this money into ads, but doesn't have any of that organic content, then your ads won't convert, because they will see the ad and then they will research you online, and do you know what they'll find? Your competitors' content, not your content, and then they're persuaded off to something else. So content in layman's terms is anything that you can read or watch or look at. It's videos, it's images, it's words, but it's all meaningful content that ultimately builds connection. It builds trust. Because as you'll know, if we don't know you and like you and trust you, we won't buy from you. So content marketing is there to build that relationship and connection and trust so that people will buy from you. So that's the best way that I can explain content marketing.
Yeah. So ads help you be seen, content helps you be chosen.
Yes.
Maybe that's going to be the title for this podcast episode.
Yeah. I tried to see if I could trademark that quote, because I've seen so many people share it, and I would hate to be in a position where someone's claiming it, and it was going to cost me something like $7,000 to trademark that quote. Can you handle it?
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, okay, thanks. Someone can take it. That's fine. I don't have $7,000 lying around.
And you can just use it free will as you please.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose as long as people are using it correctly and it's highlighting the importance of content marketing, that's all I can wish and hope for. So
totally. My thing is, I always say done is better than perfect. I've got it on notepads. I've got it on like postcards. I've got it on all my merch. Everything done is better than perfect, because it is. I don't know if that's trademarked or not. I just I love it.
Yes,
I never came up with it. I came up with it, but I haven't looked into it. Because I do believe that done is better than perfect, because if you're never gonna be completely satisfied with how you show up that first time, or put that copy out, or run that sales page. Like, you've got to get it out there, get some feedback, and how you start is probably not how you finish, based on what people want that are seeing what you have to offer. So done is better than perfect.
Absolutely. And a similar quote that I put on my LinkedIn the other day was that perfection hinders progress. Because if you're waiting for something to be perfect, you're missing all of these opportunities, and you're not moving forward, and you're not progressing. So yeah, I'm a big believer in the done is better than perfect thing. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. And I think too, I remember when you shared the second lot of marketing from my podcast interview on your podcast, it was really raw, and I was like, oh, I love this. It's so good. That is what I think is going to make way for some serious progress in the future, is that more raw content. Because as say our communities on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever grow, a lot of people would think that they need to become more polished to be able to fit that field but for me, I just want to remain as real as possible. I show up, I don't have makeup, I'm raw. It is unfiltered goodness coming your way. And I think that is what is going to set a lot of brands apart in the future, especially as you grow in numbers for your community or whatever that is. The more real you can be and raw you can be, the more humans connect to humans. And I think that will drive a lot more success for businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's so easy for us, because without trying to, make us sound like big fat wankers, we are quite charismatic, confident people. That doesn't come naturally.
Not big fat wankers.
It doesn't come. It's very easy for us. And I also pride myself. I'm also no makeup, no undies. Yeah. You can see that, but yeah, very raw and authentic. And that's also a good segue into the UGC style side of things, user generated content. Brands are sure still paying, you know, models and celebrities and
Yeah.
stuff to endorse their products, but the user generated content with just everyday people trying different, you know, products and services and creating videos of their experiences is absolute gold for brands. It's not about what you say about yourself, it's about what other people say. So that raw, authentic stuff definitely works. But sometimes I do think, Chanelle, put a bit of effort in, slap some makeup on for God's sake, and I definitely need a new webcam. So I could do a little better. I could do a little better.
Look, I think there's a time and a place for both. Like, I feel like, you know, you need that raw, ready sort of stuff, but you also need your professional shots. Otherwise, you know, if you want to impact more people, it means talking in front of a lot more people. And so when you want to impact more people, you have to have kind of like your professional hat on. But if you want to be real and relatable, you also have to have a good blend. So I love to show myself when I'm exercising, because that's when I'm at my actual most worst. Like, not worst, but like bright. I go tomato red and I'm sweaty and it's like not beautiful, but I do it on purpose to show people that you can show up however you are and
Yeah.
be like proud to just get it done, and done is better than perfect and all the things. And usually that's when I'm on my own. So that's when I've got space, but it's like, I got to do it, right? Because I want to share as much as I can with people. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And once you get over that barrier of being, you know, self-conscious of showing up, it's so liberating.
oh,
Um, and your marketing, your social media content, for one thing, will certainly start performing a hell of a lot better because people want to see you. Like you say, people, you know, humans connect with humans, and people want to see people on social media. So if you're pumping your social media with Canva graphics all day long, that's not really going to cut the mustard. So you know, pull the trigger and jump on and show your face, and it'll only get easier. And like you say, you don't need the confidence to do it. Confidence comes from doing it. And I really like that quote, which is why I put it on my socials. So yeah, I'm with you on all that.
Cool. So what's one lasting thing that you could leave us with today? Something nuggety.
Sounds awful, Hayley. I can't do that to your I
Not
can't
like
do that to
chicken,
your listeners.
not
Um,
like chicken nuggets, just a nugget of gold,
oh
wisdom
my God.
from you.
I like to think I'm pretty wisdomous or wise,
What are
but
you working on at the moment that people can come into your world and support you or learn from you? Because you're very magnetic.
oh, thank you. I will share that, but I just thought of something. And look, this isn't groundbreaking and it's not nuggety, but I think it's something that we all need to be reminded of a lot. Is to just unplug and switch off whenever you can. And this is not new information and it's not groundbreaking and it's not even related to marketing, but I know the impact that business burnout has had on me and my mental health. This is my diazepam that I take because I'm very anxious. So take time out. And if it means that you've got to block out that time in your calendar to do that, then do it. Because if you just keep going and going and going, you will burn out, you will resent your business, and you'll not be showing up the best way you can for your customers. So if I'm going to leave you with anything, it's just a reminder to, like, if you can, slow the fuck down and take some time out. And in terms of what I'm working on, I've got all sorts of things going on at the moment, but one thing I'm really excited about is that I've got a 6-week DIY your social media course in the pipeline. I've got about 50 people on the wait list, which I'm very excited about, and I'm in the process of building the course. It's going to be very affordable for the launch. I've got a great launch offer. So if you go onto the Ninky Academy website, which is ninkyacademy.com.au, and you go to the course section, you can join the wait list.
Yep. And I'll
It's
put
going to
that
be
in the show notes for you
great.
as well.
Yeah, thank you. So, and if, yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you'd love to connect with me, LinkedIn is a good place. Instagram is also a good place. You can connect with me at Ninky Content Marketing on Instagram, or Chanelle Le Roux _marketing coach on Instagram as well.
Beautiful. I love talking to you.
I love
I
talking to you.
genuinely love talking to you. And like I think I said this to you when like a couple of months ago, but I feel like, I mark my words, that you and I are gonna, I don't know, we'll do something together at some point.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just I feel like it's in the air. So
it's on its way. Something's birthing. We're brewing. We are birthing. We are brewing.
When the
And
time is
it's
right.
Friday, and I feel like, I feel like we could just keep going. We could bring out the GMTs. So absolutely. I always love speaking to you, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been so good. I thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast. And yeah, follow Chanelle for all of her genius with what she does, and also some laughs, because I think that you've got a great sense of humor on your socials. So
Thank you. I'm so glad that me being an idiot makes someone happy. You're welcome.
No, it's lovely. All right. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Chanelle.
Hayley.